What's up? So hopefully we're gonna have people getting on here. I've got my little tripod set up here and I think we're live and got everything going on. Let's see if I can flip this screen somehow, I guess. Oh, that's a refrigerator. Hey Annette, how are you? We got 7 people. Hey, and what we've done is we've started a little early. Hey friend, we've started a little early just to give people a time to get on here and to kind of get ready. And also, I guess if you wanted to start asking some questions, I know Danny and Lindsay East both said they were coming up with some questions, which kind of had me a little nervous. I told them no Chickamauga questions, even though I'm allowed to talk about it. That place terrifies me. Do you keep a fishing log? Wow, that's intense. Actually, you know what? Certain times of year, especially with guide trips and things like that, I do have a little log. Or what I do is I put it in my in my phone app, in my memo app, if there's something very specific. For the most part, I have a pretty good memory when it comes to fish. I can tell you even my biggest fish of my life. I can tell you, what I caught stuff on and kind of the conditions that I've done it in on local stuff. Now, the hard part is I do have more of a log when it comes to the pro tournaments. I keep all of my notes, and they're very, very detailed notes. From West Columbia, what's up? My brother's on here, so that's exciting. So, I try and keep track of every little detail that I can, because it's the details, that kind of produce more fish. So, what's your favorite snack on the boat? Okay, so pre-busting my can working out, my favorite snack was actually Cheez-Its, which I know sounds horrible, but beyond that, now I'm into kind of fresh stuff. Like I like fresh fruit. Yesterday on my guide trip, I ate a bunch of apples. I'm trying to drop weight and get in the best shape that I can for these super tournaments, and it's kind of one of those things where, I've made so much progress getting to here. I don't want to pound whole boxes of Cheez-Its or Doritos, even though my mom did drop off a bag of Doritos here yesterday. So they'll probably get devoured at some point. But, I can't really see. I'm hoping everybody can see me. We're going to give it a few minutes. We actually got a couple minutes. We wanted to start early. For those of you just joining us, there's 31 of you on there. That's exciting. Now, if you have questions, you can drop them in the comment section. I think there's a comment section on the bottom of this. And what's up, Wade Lott and Ron? Dick, what's up, buddy? Drop those questions in there, because this is your night. This is a night for you to get to kind of, Rusty Jewett, what's up, buddy, from the Redfish world? Rick, what's up, man? But it's an opportunity for you to ask questions. You're going to get to hear, I say my story, but it's God's story on kind of where he's brought me and how he's gotten me there. Do you have a technique to catch bigger fish once you know they're biting? Yes. There's a lot of people that feel that whole concept of big baits catch big fish. And many times, everybody knows this. Many of the pictures that you see with me fishing that FLW's published and things like that, I have a spinning rod in my hand. I do love a spinning rod. Whether I throw a jerk bait on it or whether I'm throwing a wacky rig or, just a weightless Zinco. It's one of those things where once I kind of have it dialed in, then I'm going to pick something bigger up, a bigger swim jig or a swim bait. I know Ron Krager's watching and he said you never start early. But I used to be a big swim bait guy. I used to love the bigger the better in the swim baits, and especially when it got to the point where I was utilizing that to catch bigger fish. But now, perfect example, Meagan and I won a tournament on Lake Parker here in Lakeland last weekend. And once we had a limit, I switched to a 1 ounce jig, just a really big bulky jig. And I'm old school, so I like a jig with a big chunk trailer on it. I don't do the crawfish trailers and things like that, even though I love crawfish trailers on lots of things like swim jigs and stuff. But when it comes to flipping a big jig, a 1 ounce jig with heavy braid, on the big stick, I want it just to be kind of streamlined and look like a bluegill, because that's what it's meant to look like. So let's see here. There's so many questions. Do you have a technique to catch bigger fish? You never start early. What's your type What is your go-to type of fishing for post-spawn suspended fish? Wow, listen, I hate post-spawn, with a passion. However, post-spawn suspended fish, a lot of times if I get them with some type of falling bait, like a wacky rig or something, depends on the water depth. Lately, I've been targeting most of my post-spawn fish pretty early in the morning as they're feeding on shad. That's where a lot of those fish go to. I would say, probably more of a chatterbait, keep it high in the water column, or even a rattle trap. I'm from Florida, so there's no doubt, I like a war pig, or, the Berkeley war pig, or just a traditional rattle bait, something that's going to make those fish kind of commit to either coming up top or either going down to the bottom a little bit more. So, all great baits. My mom says, "Where's my girls?" They're in bed. So, yeah. Most important aftermarket accessory, on your boat. You can't, that's tough. I think every accessory on my boat is there for a very specific purpose. Whether it's my Lowrance units, I run the HDS live units, which I could not fish without my HDS Lowrance live units, because I feel like half the time I'm staring at them more than I'm staring at what's going on around me. It's a lot easier to pinpoint fish than it ever has been. But another thing is, here in Florida, I have to have power poles. No matter where I'm at, really, it's shallow. I need power poles. They're going to keep me locked into place. And then also, and I don't get paid to tell you, but the spot lock that's on the old Trex trolling motor has been pretty nice too. So until I get my hands on one of the new Ghost by Lowrance. So next, what are the perks of having a wife that can fish too? I don't have to explain things. She understands the game almost as much as I do. So if I want to say, hey, I was catching transition fish, or if I was, hey, I was looking for pre-spawn fish or spawn fish or post-spawn fish, she goes, oh, so you're beating the bank. Or, oh, did you pick up a flipping stick? Or, oh, she's able to critique things that I do, and especially coming home on tour, to kind of answer two of your questions. They travel with me every single time that they can travel with me. So when I come home off the water at night, obviously we're on the phone with lots of other pros because we're not allowed to talk to other people, and we can talk to people on the tour. Meagan is one of the people that I can bounce stuff off of in my head. Hey, like, this is what I saw today. What I need to tell somebody about it, and it helps me kind of walk through that process. So, hey, Nancy, let's see. Spot lock will change your life. What is your personal record bass caught? You don't even want to know. Okay, so my personal best in the past 5 years was an 11.6 that I caught 2 weeks ago. Caught on a chatterbait in a lake called Lake Panisovsky. Beautiful fish, but she measured 20, and I want y'all to do some math on this whenever you're done. She measured 29.25 inches long and 16.5 inches around. So if you do that math, it's a 14 to 15 pound largemouth if you figured on length and girth measurements. But she was hollow. She was extremely hollow fish, beautiful fish, extremely post-spawn and feeding on shad. And, she ate it, and it was an amazing fish. And actually a good buddy of mine is having that fish mounted for us to put in our home as a memory. But my largest fish was over 14 pounds, and kind of part of my testimony before, when we were young, we would fish in some places that were pretty illegal to fish in, and we would sneak in with backpacks. And I know it sounds bad, and I'm sure there's people on here that that are big time fish advocates, and I am extremely it's extremely important to me that fish care. But we ate a lot. We ate a lot of fish when I was a kid, probably almost everything we caught. So, and I think that's important too, in conservation sometimes, feeding families and feeding the people around you too. God gave us these creatures to rule over them. And whether it's weighing them in a tournament or, harvesting a select few to feed your family, I think that's extremely important. Live well best practices for hot weather tournaments. Danny, that's a great question. I live in Florida. So live well questions, what we do here in the state of Florida, and even in their hot tournaments, is what I love to do is, I run a Ranger this year. Have been running a Ranger my entire professional career, and it has a recirc on it. So what I do is I start the day with 2 big bags of ice, and I fill my live well up halfway. Then I put some G-Juice in there. Don't get paid to tell you about G-Juice. G-Juice, it works great. It's a product by TH Marine. I fill it halfway, fill that ice in there, and then I don't even turn it on. So it's set on recirc for at least 3/4 of the day, unless a fish bleeds in there or I catch a fish that's got some kind of funky bacteria or something on it. So, but I want to keep that normal, cool water in there as long as I can. It's extremely important to keep those fish cool, calm, and collected, especially if you put them in there. Here in Florida, we have water in the summertime. It's 100 and 105 degrees, so it actually starts cooking the fish, and you don't want to do that. So if you know that you're going to be putting fish in there and you're feeling pretty confident, add some ice, add 2 bags of ice, fill your water up halfway, and just try and keep the same water in there as long as you can. So you ate crappie for dinner. That's what's up. I love crappie. So let's see, what are the perks? Let me see if I have any other questions on here. And guys and girls, please, please, please throw some questions in there. I'll sit and answer questions all night if we have to. And at some point, I want to tell you some pretty cool stories about my life and things like that. So we have 39 people on here. Tag. I think there's a way for you to share this. Tag your friends, tag your family, get them on here, because there's going to be a lot of cool stuff that we can talk about. And I'm sure there's going to be a ton of questions after I share. So we got Chuck Stratton on there, one of my boys from the tour. 40, what's up, man? How are you? He's number 40. So I figured we were just going to hang out tonight, and got my coffee. I'm a big coffee connoisseur. Hometown. God has blessed me, my friend. Hometown, Lakeland, Florida. You probably have heard of Lakeland, Florida, because there's been some other pros that came from Lakeland, Florida, and actually some that still live here. Big Fish Bobby Lane still lives here in Lakeland, Florida. Chris Lane was from Lakeland, Florida, and now lives at Guntersville. And there's probably a list a mile long of guys. And we have one of the largest BASS and local tournament trails in the world. So there's just a ton of lakes. I mean, in Lakeland, we have hundreds of lakes. So, there's a lake within 2 minutes of everybody's house. So you can go anywhere you want and catch bass here in Lakeland. What's your favorite go-to bait during post-spawn? It really depends. If I know that they're post-spawn hitting, surface, then I'm going to go to more of a walk-the-dog type bait. I like a big spook. I mean, I've caught a lot of big fish on those. The Chapo is a great bait if they're knocking on shad and things like that. How do you stay cool during the summer? Lindsay, that's a great question. First of all is sun shirts, like this. I'm sponsored by a company called New Threads, and they're such great people. They do a lot for high schools and colleges and professionals all around the country, and even outside the country, I think, and make a lot of different sun shirts. So most of them that you'll see have a big NU or a New Threads or things like that. And but I do like the sun shields occasionally. I know I'm starting to get some spots that I need to check out, but trying to stay cool is super important. For those of you who know my story, I have a heart problem. I actually have a pretty bad heart problem, and staying cool and collected on the boat is extremely important. So I have to drink a ton of water as much as I can. Let's see here. Chuck Stratton says, any secret spots to share for Chickamauga? Also, what boats do you recommend? Oh, Chuck, that's great questions. But no, we don't have any secret spots on Chickamauga. I sat half of a day while we were there last year on a 10-pounder on a bed, and totally wanked my chance of getting a paycheck there. So, and what baits? I see that was pretty slick there. But what baits do I recommend for Chickamauga? Big worm, big spoons, and spoons that are like that long work. I know a lot of people are throwing those, and but it's what you're comfortable with. One thing that I have found, Chuck, I don't know when the last time you went to Chickamauga, or maybe you weren't with us last. Yeah, you were with us last time. Chickamauga terrifies me, but it's still a Florida strain largemouth lake. So there's going to be bass caught from 2 inches of water out to 25 or 30 feet. So let's see here. Andrew Grant. Did you fish in college? I fished way too much in college, but not on a team. We did not have a team at either one of the schools I went to. However, now, where I got my associates, and before I went on to USF, now they have, Polk State College has one of the best teams in the South. I mean, they're absolutely awesome. You could check all those guys out. They do a great job, and they're always placing in the top teams for all the FLW series or even some of the Bass series. So a lot of really good colleges now have Bass teams, and if I could go back and do it all over again, I definitely would have fished in college. So let's see if we got any more questions here. There's a lot of people. It keeps growing by the second, which is really, really awesome. But yeah, so hopefully everybody, that college fishing is awesome. I know FLW has a huge emphasis on college fishing. Who was the first person that took you fishing? Oh, wow. That's tough. I mean, I would assume it was my mom or actually, okay, this is probably it. I always joke that the first time I was fishing was probably in my mom's belly. So, because I've been fishing that long. So maybe it was my mom. I don't know. My dad's big emphasis when I was a kid was tarpon and snook. So saltwater was kind of the big deal, and freshwater was just something that you did as a pastime out in the backyard. So, but my great-grandfather, Grandpa Pete, and my grandmother, my mom would drop us off at lakes and let us fish everywhere we went. Okay, so what number are you writing on your hand so far for this year? Tonight I don't have a number, but I will tell you this, 25 is a number. And I know that might not be significant to most of you because you probably don't have any idea what 25 is. But 25 was the number since January 1st through March of people that through our ministry have prayed to receive Christ, that have taken on a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. So, which is pretty exciting. So, and that number, and I will tell you this, has been pretty cool. So, Wade, you keep up with my number, for the past, I don't know how many years, but we've reached over 650 people in the past 4 years through the Meet the Pros events, through speaking at churches and schools and things like that. So, it's awesome to know those 650 people, including 2 of those people are my girls. We're part of that will get to spend eternity with us someday. Let's see, and who has made the biggest impact? Oh, actually, let me start up here with Danny, then I'll go down there. Best grass or weeds to fish on Eufaula? Grass. When I was at Eufaula, I spent a lot of time in a place called the Ditches Witch. I don't even know or Witch's Ditch. I think I got that backwards. Throwing frogs. I love throwing frogs up there. It's a lot of fun. I caught a ton of big fish. But probably the funniest video ever was not on grass or weeds for that matter. It was a fish I caught on a spinnerbait, and it says, I think if you go on YouTube from 5 years ago, it says Captain Blake catches one in the last second or something. I lose it. I don't know if y'all ever seen videos of me catch big fish, and even some of the guys that are on the tour will actually vouch for this, but I like to freak out a little bit when I catch big fish. It's still exciting to this day. It's a blessing, and every big fish that we catch is awesome. So to answer your question, Danny, grass, topped out grass with a frog, or even like a ribbits frog or something that you can buzz across the top. Who has made the biggest impact in your fishing career? Guys, that's huge. When I came on tour 6 years ago, it was important to me to find a select group of guys that not only could mentor me in fishing, but also my faith. And there is and I have a lot of buddies on tour. We're all extremely close. We're a family. There's many of those guys in this list. I love every one of them like they're my brothers, and we would fight for each other no matter where we go. But my first couple of years, some guys like Mark Rose, Greg Bohannon, Bill McDonald, Jay Yellis took me under their wing, which was extremely awesome, and I felt like a 5-year-old around those guys. And I still do. Like I still get like nervous around these guys because they're so good and they're so awesome, and I respect them and their walks and their relationship with Jesus Christ and their fishing abilities. Those guys can catch fish. I think each one of them secretly have 15 pounds hidden in their live well when they take off every morning. So they're just good guys all around, and I've been very, very thankful for those. Glenn Chapelier is another one. He definitely helped form me in the sense of where the fine line falls, whether it's fishing or your ministry, and how God provides for you in both. So a lot of cool people. What kind of fishing partner does your wife make? An awesome fishing partner. She definitely puts some good fish in the boat. Go to my YouTube, click the video, or go to my Instagram, click the video link in the Instagram, and you'll get to see Meagan catch some toads. All right, so let's see here. Where's some other questions? You ever fished in North Carolina? And if so, where at? Oof. Megan, have I fished in North Carolina? I know I have. I don't know about in a tournament. I feel like I've fished there quite a few times, but never in a tournament. So, good question. South Carolina, yes. I've fished a few lakes in South Carolina and had some pretty good success there. North Carolina, Tennessee, North Georgia. I love North Georgia, all those lakes there. Like Chattooga or Blue Ridge, those are all beautiful lakes, and they're pretty close to North Carolina. So, let's see here. We got 40 people on here, and my mom obviously just posted and said he got it from his mama. So, that's exciting. So, but yeah, guys, y'all keep up the Blue Ridge. That's right. All right, a couple more questions, and then I got a cool story to tell you. So, what would you throw in a high-pressure lake in summer daytime? Okay, so it's always summer in Florida, and it feels like it's always high pressure. Past couple of times we've been out, we've had bluebird skies, high pressure, not just pressure from the elements, but pressure from the people fishing around us, because since this COVID thing, there's been so many more people out on the lake. And, so what I like to do is kind of find where those fish are recessing to, or where they're going. When there's high pressure and they don't really want to eat, sometimes you have to finesse them. A wacky rig, green pumpkin Cinco, or green pumpkin candy, or whatever color, or black and blue if you're here from Florida, is a great combination on light line, if they're really having a hard time eating. But then the other is any type of reaction bait, your traps, like we talked about the war pig, or a chatterbait, some type of jig, or even if you're really good at stroking a swim jig, that might be a good option. Or the big jig, flipping a big jig into cover, like any type of bonnets or things like that. So, but good question. What would you throw? Let's see. The next one is on a lake like Chattooga that has blueback herring. Wow. Okay. Blueback herring are tough. No matter where you go, they travel. So. It's one thing, if I was fishing a high pressure lake, I probably would keep moving as much as I can, not really hang in one spot like I would here in Florida. In Florida, they're not going to go very far because there's not a lot of places they can go, and the bait's going to come to them. So, blueback travel. So I would constantly stay moving. That would probably be my biggest thing with a blueback lake, is constantly stay moving, try and find fish that are actively feeding. And in most of your lakes up there that have blueback herring, that's something that you can do. So, something like an underspin, same thing, reaction baits, a chatterbait, something I could stroke, something I can make move through the water column extremely well. Or just going up shallow and throwing something like a buzzbait or a frog, something pretty quick, just to make those fish react to it. Dick says, do you like catching smallmouth? I absolutely love catching smallmouth. They're a beautiful, amazing fish. The first smallmouth I ever caught was a lake called Clear Lake. It's up in, I think, near Montreal. Meg, it's north of Ottawa, either way. And my wife's family are from Ottawa, Ontario. And her uncle took me up there and let me catch smallmouth. I think we caught like 50 or 60 that day. My largest one was 6.5 pounds. So I know that doesn't seem big, because I know guys like Josh Douglas and those guys are absolutely smashing big smallmouth. But, places like St. Clair, where we were last year, and where we will be again this year on the Detroit River, I weighed in 2 awesome bags last year that I really felt like we're going to do extremely well. Like an 18.6 the first day, and I come in and I was talking to Brian Thrift, and he's like, what do you got? And I said 18.6. He goes, oh. And when Brian Thrift makes a sound like that to you, it makes you pretty nervous, because he's like, man, everybody's got 20. And I'm like, oh. So 18.6 put me in about 80th place. Repeating that same weight the next day kept me in 80th place, which kept me requalified to fish on the FLW Pro circuit. But beautiful fish. I mean, they're all just giants. Every one of them that you catch is like a 4-pounder, 3.5, 4-pounder. So, but yes, I love smallmouth. Have you ever been skunked in a Thursday night tournament? Yeah, I have, with you, Tim Trout. We did. I think we just went out there that night for the fellowship. And but getting skunked in tournaments is what it's all about. How much searching do you do in a practice? Your favorite search technique? Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so talking practice. Let's talk about practice. Lately, my practice has consisted of not making a cast at all. I'm literally going to try and find the best elements that I'm looking for. So, perfect example, when Megan and I fished that tournament last weekend, I went out 2 days for about 3 hours every morning before the rain. And all I did was scan. I really didn't want to catch a fish because I knew it gets in my head too bad when I catch one. But I wanted to look for certain things. I wanted to find post-spawn fish that had dropped off on the edges of grass flats or even, you know, hydrilla mats or patches out offshore. But then I also wanted to find some places that I felt like they could go to if they needed cover, and that was the bonnets. So I found one patch. I scanned the outside edges of it, spent just enough time there really so nobody saw me there, scanned the outside edges so I knew where we needed to cast when we got there, but I never made one cast on it. That's where we started the tournament and actually caught our limits on chatterbaits in the grass. So the bonnet patches that we were fishing, I just wanted some that had wind blowing to them. You know, those fish, some of those bigger fish were kind of sitting there and wanted some bait pushed to them, but they didn't necessarily want to go out looking for it. So I knew that if I found those good clumps of bonnets where I could flip a jig near some type of wind-driven bait, you know, on the edge of a little cut going back into the back, I knew that we could probably find some decent fish. So, you know, practice is extremely important, but I also think it's extremely important not to catch too many fish in practice because you can really, two things can happen. You can get extremely excited about something that is a dying bite because you caught them all in practice, or get some false impressions that you don't really need to use in practice. So, or during the tournament, excuse me. But for practice, driving around, getting your eyes on as much of the lake as possible, to an extent, you know, be able to find some things that you like, key elements and things like that. If you could only keep one in your boat, bait caster, or spinning reel, that's pretty messed up. That's a messed up question. But probably a spinning rod. I know that sounds bad, but I'm a spinning rod guy. I used to use all, you know, when going through the Redfish Tour and the Lucas Oil Pro-Ams and things like that, many of the fishing, you know, many of the fish that I landed, most all of them were on spinning rods. So if you've seen any of the old NBC Sports footage or anything like that from the Redfish Tour, from the Pro-Ams, I caught them all on spinning rods. And I like that. And the reason being is this, and I know it's non-conventional, you know, but I throw jerk baits, I throw swim baits, I throw Senkos, wacky rigs, pretty much everything on a spinning rod. And I like it because I can quickly adjust the drag and I feel like there's no slippage. So I can control those fish 100% of the time. And I land a lot more fish on a spinning rod than I do a bait caster. So, you know, spinning rod probably if I had to pick, but other than that, there is, you know, I still like a bait caster. What color chatterbait? Depends what you're going for. White, black and blue, green pumpkin. Those are really only three that matter. I know Jackhammer's coming out with some new stuff, and I'm not sponsored by them. If they want to send me some cool stuff, that'd be awesome. But I will still pay $17 for a chatterbait if I have to. All right. You mentioned a ministry you're involved in, number 25. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Yes, I would love to talk to you about our ministry. So we have a ministry, Megan and I do, called Mission Culture. Now, Mission Culture is kind of our umbrella across the United States. It's our 501c3 that helps get us to where we're going. But the whole emphasis on is preaching ministry-like attitude in everything you do. Whatever your profession is, whatever your hobbies are, whatever your life takes you, is being able to, you know, have that mission-mindedness. You know, that you're there for a higher calling, you're there for a bigger reason than just fishing, or you're there for a bigger reason than just welding, or there for a bigger reason than just being a teacher. You know, you're there because God has put you there, and there's no better reason to be doing anything. So, which is awesome. And Donis, I will answer that in a second, but no, I have not been down peacock fishing in a long time. But to the question of mission-mindedness everywhere you go. I know it's 8:26. I know y'all probably would love to sit here and hang out, but you know, my story is I guess a lot like many just young American growing up in a Christian home, you know, stories, except for there's a big twist in it. And God finds his ways to add twists to our stories and add things to our stories. And you know, I was raised in a Christian home. You know, I had parents, besides my parents getting divorced when I was young, you know, we went to church. I went to Sunday school on Sundays, youth group on Wednesdays. You know, there's always been a big emphasis on church. You know, my grandma helped out with that a lot. You know, the days that we really didn't want to go, Grandma would be outside honking the horn. You know, we'd be trying to close the windows, you know, and hiding out from Grandma. But I tell you that because there's always been that Christian emphasis. Now, as I got older, I just lived it. You know, I got saved when I was 6, and I truly believe there was a conversion there. I truly believe, hey, I wanted to spend eternity with Christ and the people I love, but there wasn't that walk that I needed to have, that true blue walk. I felt like, you know, as I got older and went, you know, started doing mission trips and things like that, I mean, I still loved it. I still felt like God was moving and God was doing something in my life, but there wasn't that intimacy with God. There wasn't that true blue walk or that true blue beyond Sunday school. Hey, I could go to Africa, or I could go to South America or Romania or Brazil or anywhere and tell somebody about Jesus. That's pretty easy. But 100% of me wasn't convinced as I told those stories. And it wasn't until much later, you know, y'all know my wife. I know she is such a blessing, and God has ordained us for each other, no matter what kind of hardships or crazy we went through pre-marriage. But one day, let's see, I'll give you, fast forward, Meagan and I get married. And, you know, we had a pretty darn good life. And I say that at the beginning, you know, we were making tons of money. I was doing investing and you know, if we wanted it, we bought it. If we wanted to go somewhere, we got it. And there was nothing ever that we asked God for, ever, not once. And it was what we thought was pretty simple life. And constantly in my head, there was something missing. Something was missing all the time. You know, hey, we still went to church. We went to Catholic Baptist Church, which we went to First Baptist Church, then Catholic Baptist Church. And there was something missing from the picture. Fast forward even further. You know, Annie was born. Annie was a year old. And Meagan was like 32 months pregnant with Emerson. And which you really, if you don't, I mean, that's a joke. You really can't, don't look up if you can be 32 months pregnant, because you can't. But she was extremely pregnant with Emerson and about to pop. And I started having some heart issues and heart palpitations. You know, I was born with a VSD, which is a ventricular septum defect. But it never caused any issues. I still played sports all the way up to college. You know, I played baseball, soccer, hockey, everything, and including this time frame. Now, this newly married me was playing ice hockey, and you know, everything was normal. You know, I just started having some heart issues, and you know, we knew something was going on, but we didn't know to what extent. So we went and had some testing done, and I'll never forget that phone call where Dr. Kevin Brown, who's my heart, you know, cardiologist, he's retired now, called me and he said, "Hey Blake, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm just driving down the road. You know, what do you need?" And he said, "Hey, I need you to get Meagan on the line, and I've got some pretty important news that I need to talk to you about." And I said, "Okay." I pulled over, and he said, "Hey, I'm sitting here with a team of 10 doctors, 10 cardiologists and physiologists from the United States, and they're all pretty good at what they do. And they all have came to the conclusion that we don't know how you are still alive." And to me, for somebody in their 20s then to hear, "Hey, I don't know how you're still alive," is one of the most gut-wrenching, ruining, I say ruining lightly because it broke me. And I didn't know what to expect. You know, I said, "What does this mean?" He says, "Well, you have a disease called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Your heart, your septum is the size of an orange sitting in your heart. So your heart is essentially about 3 or 4 times too big. And it means you have a disease called sudden death syndrome." Well, I don't know if anybody's ever told you that you have sudden death syndrome, but a lot of stuff goes to your head. And my relationship with Jesus became extremely real. Because it's like telling your grandma you're going to go visit her but then it comes down and you just keep saying, hey, I love you, I'm gonna come visit you, but then it comes down to the week that you might actually be going to visit your grandma. Same situation with Jesus, the same situation with God. I had a relationship with Jesus Christ. I had a relationship with God, but it never had to be real. It never had to be right now in the moment, because frankly, I had everything I ever needed, that I thought I ever needed. Fast forward a day, Dr. Brown told me to go home. And Meagan took care of me, lit all kinds of lavender candles and stuff. And I think I had my feet rubbed like 4 times in the process of one day. I mean, it was just relaxing and it was awesome. And she's such a saint. And we showed up to the hospital that next day, and because Dr. Brown wanted me to come in and go through the emergency room, and he was going to put a cardiac defibrillator in. And I don't know if you can see this, but I have the largest defibrillator that a person can have in their body next to an external one built into my chest. And he told us to come in, and he walked in. I'll never forget, about an hour before the surgery started, he walked in. He said, I need all your family out. I need to talk to you and Meagan. And I'm like, okay. And he said, Blake, he said, listen, I've done 10,000 of these surgeries, but I've never done one on a heart as bad as yours. And there's about a 50% chance that you ain't gonna make it out of here tomorrow. Crush you. There's never something that a new dad and a new husband wants to hear more than you got a 50% chance of not walking out of here tomorrow. It's one of the most debilitating things you could ever hear, but here's what the crazy story is at that time I remember crying and holding on to Meg and Annie and kissing Annie, what I thought might be for the last time, and as they were wheeling me down the hall, I remember praying. And I remember running out of things to pray about. I remember praying the Lord's Prayer. I remember praying everything that I've always needed, I've been holding for years. I just let it out. And I remember as I closed my eyes, and I fought it, but when I closed my eyes, when they put me under, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that when I woke up, that Meagan would either be there or I'd be face to face with Jesus Christ because of my personal relationship with him. It never became more real than then. They had to hit me twice with paddles to bring me back. But the good news is I'm here today. And because of it, I have a newfound, not faith, because I've always had faith, but a newfound relationship and personal walk with Jesus. Now I have a verse that I really want to talk to you, and I know that it's a most common used verse. I think there's Christians that have this non-Christians that have this tattooed on them. But it's Jeremiah 29, in the whole thing, Jeremiah 29:11, it says, "For I know the plans I have for you. This is the Lord's declarations. Plans for your welfare, not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." It says, "You will call to me, and you will come to pray to me, and I will listen to you." But here's the most important part of that entire scripture, because God does have a plan for each and every one of you. He has a perfect, unbelievably flawless, pure plan for every single one of you. But here's where it goes on. It says, on verse 13, it says, "You will seek me and find me when you search for me with all of your heart. And I will be found by you." This is the Lord's declaration. See, God had a plan for me the entire time. From the day I was born, he had orchestrated and perfectly ordained where we are today. The problem is I was the only one keeping me from that plan. I knew who Jesus was. I knew the steps that it took to be a Christian, but my personal relationship with Jesus was lacking. But when I started seeking God with all of my heart, he made it absolutely, undoubtedly, unbelievably clear where I was supposed to be and when I was supposed to be there. And because of it, He has orchestrated us seeing over 650 people that will now enter the gates of heaven one day. And we are so blessed. We are so blessed because he has orchestrated this from the get-go. From every one of our kids, from our parents, from our family. He's given us the opportunity to be in the most amazing atmosphere around a lot of men. There's a lot of them that love the Lord and a lot of them that have no idea who he is. And because of it, we're able to share all across the United States about what it means to truly have a relationship with Jesus Christ. So I want to encourage each and every one of you. And you're more than welcome to sit here and ask questions. I got a whole pot of coffee going behind me. But I want to encourage each and every one of you tonight that if you are walking, just walking the walk and talking the talk, but you don't have that personal relationship with Jesus, I want to ask you tonight that if that's the case, please reach out to me. Send me a message. You can send it to the Fishers of Men inbox too. It doesn't matter. We're going to get back with you. We love you, and that's why we're here. We're here to share the gospel of Jesus Christ and also talk fishing, because the first disciples, a lot of them were fishermen, and so I really want to encourage you, if that's something that you're lacking, if you don't have that personal walk with Jesus Christ, please let us know. And I would love with all of my heart to be able to get to pray with you and to love on you and get to share that with you. And so that's my story. And I hope that somebody would take something out of it, even if it's just something a little bit. And now, fast forward, I still have a heart problem. It didn't fix my heart problem. So I still have sudden death syndrome. And every day that I take off on tour or that I get up is a blessing. Because if I hit the ground, there's still a 50% chance that I won't get back up. But God's put us here, and he's not going to take me home until he's done with me here. So, thank y'all so much. Dick, he says, have you reached out to Aaron Martin since he has had his medical issues? I have not. We've been praying about that. I think Leslie, we sent her a message and said that we were praying for them and that it's hard. I know they live there in Alabama, not far from Lake Martin possibly, and we're here in Florida, but they're two people that we would love to reach out to and minister to. Jonathan Clark, Haynes, Kentucky, fished Harris chain with you, and David Christopher. Oh, what's up, buddy? How are you? Thanks for joining us tonight. So thank y'all everybody for watching. If you have questions, please. And here's another thing that I want to encourage you. My testimony is on my website. So if you remember my name and what I made sure you've been baptized twice. That's right. I got to baptize my mama this past year, and that was pretty exciting, except for the fact she took me in with her. So I can technically say I've been baptized twice, but yeah. So anyway, but yes, like I said, if you enjoyed hearing my story and what God's done, and you have somebody that you think that could benefit from it, please send them to my website, blakesmith.fish. It's on my front page of my website, my entire testimony, just so you can see it. It takes about 8 minutes long. And it might be an opportunity for you to open up and share your faith with somebody. So, all right. Talk about some questions. Wade Lott, I'm thankful for all he's done. So, how can we pray for you? Pray that I learn how to catch bass on Chickamauga. I don't like that place. So, I know Dick and all them were messing with me earlier about they were going to ask questions about Chickamauga. I that's my nemesis. I think my best finish there is 140th. And now I'm fishing against some pretty big hammers. So let's see. Any other questions? Do bass get any sort of feeding habit? I feel like they do. And here's what makes me think that. I had an old timer one time tell me, he said, hey, I got the same bass that comes at 11:25 to my dock at night every night. And I'm like, 11:25? He goes, not 11:27. He said, not 11:20. He said, he literally will show up under that light at 11:27 and he will eat one thing every night, and then he disappears. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So anyway, I saw a video of it. Had his watch sitting there, it was 11:27. This bass pops up and boom, it eats a shad or eats a bluegill or eats some other little bass or something right there under that light at 11:27. So do I believe they get into feeding habits? I absolutely do. You could probably watch one in an aquarium. If they get accustomed to the same thing happen every day, just like us, they're gonna take advantage of it. Bass are no different than people. if there's a cheeseburger sitting there and they're opportunistic feeders, they're gonna eat it. So, you know, it's I definitely believe that. Is your ministry info on your website? There is a link to my website for our ministry. We have a ministry website, but it is like in dire need to be updated. So if you need information on the ministry, I'd love to send that to you. I can talk to anybody about it all day. So we're praying that I beat David Williams. I pray to beat David Williams too. Yeah, but I love David. He's one of my good buddies. Thank you for sharing. Says Lindsay has at least one dock on the chick that's holding 2 pounders. Listen, against the guys I'm fishing against, 2 pounders probably better not even bring them back. It's gonna be pretty tough. So feel free to continue to ask questions. Like I said, it's 8:42, but I will sit here as long as y'all want to ask. If y'all want to leave, if I see the numbers start to dwindle too much, then we'll call it a night. But my kids are asleep. My wife is sitting in the other room, and anytime she wants to come join me, she's more than welcome to. And I heard her laugh. So if you have questions for her, you can ask them, and I will yell in there. How are my workouts going with my life coach? They are going pretty darn awesome. I've lost 11 pounds and 9 inches in my body, so I feel better than I ever have, and I've not had a heart problem, or heart palpitation, or anything like that in the past couple months. So it's been exciting. Let's see here. 3 pounders. We will hook you up on some big ones. I need hooked up on some big ones, but I only have like 2 days to be hooked up on big ones. So listen, after Saturday, don't send me any information on big ones, because I won't even be able to acknowledge the fact that you sent it to me, and I'll have to delete it immediately or call and report it. So, hey, somebody said Meagan show up.
Who was it?
So you need to come in here.
Who was it?
So I've got time. If you've got time, my bride is going to come in here. What's your family's favorite thing to do other than fishing? Meg, what is our favorite thing to do other than fishing? So here we go.
Is there anything else?
You know what? If you're going to be here, I'm going to make you a cup of coffee. So we are coffee fanatics. What is our favorite thing to do besides fishing as a family?
I don't know. Probably be outdoors of any kind.
Yeah.
Hiking.
Do you hike?
When we're out of the state.
Not in Florida. It's too hot. We'd die. So
Go through creeks.
yeah, we like to look under rocks and creeks and things like that. That's always a lot of fun. So my mom says hi. You're welcome for the testimony. That's all God. Blue Ridge, yes, it's one of our favorite places in the world. All right, so here we go. Top 3 baits for you on the grass lakes in Florida during February and March. Whoa, now come on, that's prime time. That's heavy spawn time from February through May. Is pretty much heavy spawn time. So I would say my top 3 baits is probably a speed worm, a Cinco. What's my other favorite bait? During February, March time. What do you think? What is something else I talk about?
Is this a test?
No. Probably a speed worm and a Cinco are my 2 favorite
That's
go-to
what I
baits.
would think of.
And then a prop bait. You know, that's another one. So a prop bait, you know, like a devil's horse or something, because I know the bass just love them during the spawn and it really messes with them. So hopefully that answered your question. Let's see. Favorite family meal? Ooh. Jesse's laughing at hiking. So. Favorite family meal? My mom, back when she loved us, used to make a thing called Hockey Night Pie. And we haven't had that in a long time. So if y'all know my mom or you see her on this feed, definitely tag her in Hockey Night Pie. But no, favorite meal other than that? What do you think? What do I like? I like Brussels sprouts. I
like roast.
Roast, maybe?
Some roast venison.
Venison.
Love venison.
Venison, anything?
Yeah, anything venison.
So anything made,
Chili.
anything wild? Yes, that's what we like.
We like everything.
Let's see here. It says, Blake, it appears you married way over your head. Listen, and this sound, I outpunted my coverage extremely far.
Definitely not. He makes my coffee.
Listen, I try and froth the coffee for her and make her a cup of coffee. And let me give you a secret. to a happy marriage every day when I'm leaving. And I always tell her this. So like when I'm gone, and I know this sounds so morbid, but like when I'm gone, if there's ever a next guy, he's gonna have to live up to like the standards that are set way up here. But every morning before I leave, I write her a love note and put it on her empty coffee cup.
He does.
And sit it by the coffee pot. So whether it's just something simple like, hey, I love you and I'm thankful for you, or hey, thanks for dinner, and yesterday was the bomb, or just, hey, you look hot. I try and make sure that I've got something written on that coffee cup to try and set some standards extremely high. So, and my girls get to see that too. And, I pray that their husband leaves them notes every morning whenever that time comes in 50 years. When
they have a great example.
So, well, I appreciate it. All right, so Venice's smoked sausage is the way to go. Yes. Kathy and Chris said hi. That's cool.
Hey, guys.
Oh, sweet, you need to have a pep talk with JR. Listen, I'm not a marriage coach. Megan's not a marriage coach. But for some reason, we end up getting to talk to a lot of couples all over the United States. And we love it. A lot of grace. And we are the most unperfect people living in an unperfect world, but we serve a perfect Savior. And He's already set the stage and already set the tone for all of it. So, it's never too late to start something cool with your spouse, and we're thankful for that. So we're gonna kind of tease you a little bit with it, but there may or may not next year. Should we say next year?
Lord willing.
Lord willing, be a couples devotional coming out that Megan and I are each taking part in, writing half each. And for those couples that want to take their marriage and their love to the next level, they're going to have a devotional read side by side that has the guy's side on one side and the girl's side on the other, and you can be able to see that. So we pretty much have most of it written. We just have to send it to the printer. So I'm not going to have to contact David Dudley's wife to be able to, and her print shop to be able to get that printed, and then we'll let you know.
Ron Surprise.
Ron Surprise is definitely another plus. So, fishing the South Central Divisions of Fishers and Men this weekend on Green River Lake in Kentucky this weekend. Ever been? Let's see here. Ever been there? No, I haven't. I haven't. I love Kentucky. I love Cumberland, and don't love Kentucky Lake, but I love Cumberland and Cumberland. Oh, and Lake Cumberland's nice in Kentucky. I think that's the only nice that I really enjoyed fishing, but I have not been to that lake. I wish I could help you, but it's spawn time and a little bit of post-spawn time, so you should be able to find fish doing all the same stuff. So, personal best for Megan. What, where, and best.
Are we talking bass?
I thought I was the personal best.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Honestly, bass, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I think it's probably like a six. I don't know. Listen,
I don't know.
Even in the beginning of our marriage, I've got pictures of her
Maybe
holding
7-ish.
giants, maybe 7-ish.
I
Something.
never really had a scale.
No. It wasn't until recently,
So I couldn't tell you.
since Corona, that I started putting a scale in my boat out
Yeah.
of boredom. I wanted to start seeing what fish weighed. Let's see here.
Tarpon?
Oh, okay. How about
mean-
this? I didn't ask, but her PB tarpon is 185 pounds.
Yeah.
So if you've never seen 185 pound tarpon, how long did it take you to get that in? An hour and 45 minutes?
Probably.
I think it was like an hour and
Yeah.
45 minutes. So you're
It whips
fishing
me.
with a buddy, Captain Gabriel Lippert, and his bride, and
Yeah.
we
It was so
we
much
hooked
fun.
2, landed the first one in 45 minutes, landed the second one in an hour and 45 minutes, and did not care to catch another fish for a month after that. So, how many rods are on your boat, Debbie? That's a good question. You know what? I try and narrow it down, but I've always got 20 to 30 rods on my boat, and I know that seems like such overkill. Because as a kid, I would take one rod and try and tie 42 different baits on it. But now, since I have the abilities, and I use Spiralite rods. I don't know if you've ever seen those, but you can go to spiraliterods.com, and their acid wrap rods are amazing. And but I try and keep as many of them on my boat just so I don't have to think a whole lot. I can literally just reach down, grab a bait. If something feels like it's in the moment, then I'm going to be able to reach down and catch it. So I usually keep anywhere from 10 to 15 on top of the deck, and then maybe 10 or 12, maybe more, inside the hull of the boat. 185 pounds. Is tarpon your nickname, Blake? No. My biggest tarpon is not 185 pounds. I think mine was like 165, and I caught it in Keys. But Meagan's definitely was, and it was just an amazing feat to watch her get to haul in that monster. So I'm gonna move that over there so they can see you.
Oh.
So we are starting to dwindle, and we have 8 minutes. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go till 9 o'clock. You have 9 minutes right now to ask whatever questions that you want to ask, and I'll stay here the whole time. It doesn't matter, because it's time we get to spend together and time we get to spend with y'all and just loving on people. So but I do want to encourage you to go back. Hey, you can go back and watch this 42 million times if you want, and but encourage people, if they don't have that personal relationship with Jesus Christ, that's the most important tip you're going to hear tonight. Not what type of bait to use in Florida, or what's my favorite chatterbait or rod or reel or anything like that. It's truly that relationship with Jesus Christ. That's why we're here, and that's why we do what we do, because it's extremely important to us, and we love you. You know, there's a lot of hate going on, and a lot of stress, and a lot of crazy times going on in the United States and around the world right now, and you know, it doesn't matter who you are, what color you are, what nationality you are, what language you are, whether you like spinning rods or bait casters. We love all of you, and that's what we've been called to do. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind. And the second is to love your neighbor as yourself.
And Jesus loves them all.
And Jesus does. He loves y'all, all of you. You guys are amazing. Yeah, personal relationship. Yes, I need a personal relationship with Jesus. I do lots of walking and talking to get back to God and bring my family with me to church. Yes, personal relationship is so huge. So my biggest fear, that's funny, spiders. Definitely spiders.
It's supposed to be deeper than that.
Deeper? I'm not afraid of anything beyond spiders. So as long as there's no spiders, I'm okay. But I'm not afraid of dying, if that's what you mean. So that's, I think, probably the biggest thing that people in their 30s like me would have a fear of, and that is obviously what happens after we go. You're never going to see that with me. I'm not afraid to go. Not afraid to get to spend that awesome time with my Creator. So, but I am afraid of spiders. Here we are back. We're back. Do I ever take the girls out fun fishing? What does that look like?
A circus?
Mayhem. Straight mayhem. Because they're all like her, and they all want to fish. Like, it's not like two of them want to sunbathe.
Even the 2-year-old.
Yes, so even our 2-year-old wants to fish. And so imagine putting Meagan and I, who are extremely competitive because it keeps the home fires burning, and then 4 little girls that are extremely competitive themselves, and you know, they all want to fish, they all want to be the best, and I've seen so many tears and so many pouts based on the fact that they didn't catch fish. But I will tell you this: they all, when we were at Lake Martin in March, they all caught their biggest personal best spotted bass by themselves, except for the 2-year-old. All the rest of them were able to throw it and reel it back in.
Yeah.
And
that was awesome.
And it was a lot of fun. So,
so much fun.
5 minutes. If you're going to ask a question, you better do it. You better make it quick, because we are going to go and hang out, watch a movie, finish our cup of coffee. And we are so thankful to get to be on here, Dick. We are so thankful for Fishers of Men Nation. Like, y'all are awesome. And I thank you for the opportunities. Like, I've gotten to speak a couple. I went and did the prayer for Fishers of Men Regional down here at Kissimmee a few months ago. And anything that we can ever do for Fishers of Men Nation, we love you, and we are thankful for you, and we thank you for sharing the gospel and helping guys like myself get to go out and catch a fish. So that's exciting too. So let's see here. Anybody else? You've got a couple minutes here, and we're gonna. If our stand breaks, our girls were playing. It is broke, and our girls are playing soccer with it or something like that. Favorite reel speed? Ooh, good question at the end. I've been using. I'm an Abu Garcia guy through and through. I love Abu Garcia reels. My rods are spiral light, but the reels are extremely important to me. I've been using 2 different types of reels this year, which is the Revo Premier, and then the Revo EXD is one that I just got in the past couple of months. And I used either a 6.6 to 1 on the EXD or an 8 to 1. 6.6 to 1, I have a couple of those that I throw crankbaits and slower retrieve type things with, maybe even rattle traps, stuff like that. But then the 8 to 1 is what I've been using a lot of, especially in the post spawn down here in Florida, because I need that reaction bite. I need a bait that's coming through pretty quick. So I think it's like 37 inches per retrieve. You know, you're getting a lot of line in extremely quick. Other than that, I use a 7.4 to 1 or 7.6 to 1, something like that, on the Premier, which is a pretty much a run-of-the-mill, normal speed for me, that I could throw chatterbaits, swim baits, spinner baits, speed worms, throw a Cinco, drag a worm, it doesn't matter. But the other thing, if you see a lot of the videos that we've been posting lately, I've been throwing a Revo Rocket, which is 10 to 1, and it's a flipping reel. That's exclusively what I throw it with, because you will rip a bait out of a fish's mouth extremely quick with a 10 to 1. So, you know, if I was trying to stop a truck or something like that, I'd want a 10 to 1. But all Revos, all Abu Garcia, all the time. You know, we are definitely big fans of the Abu Garcia reels. So, any other questions? Let's see here. Man, we still got people filling in, which is...
There was one about
awesome.
The craziest place we've stayed at for a tournament. There's been some...
We've stayed at some sketch.
There's been some sketchy places.
Some straight sketch. Because let me tell you, 2 jobs, and I don't want to burst anybody's bubble here, but the 2 jobs that you get paid the least, unless you're obviously Edwin Evers or Van Dam or one of those guys, is professional fishing and ministry. So you don't get to stay at the Holiday Inn Express everywhere we go. You just bring your own sheets and learn how to make complete meals in the microwave. And then I think when the Instapot and stuff came out, it definitely changed our lives. But
yeah.
But other than that, you know, we've stayed at some pretty sketchy places, but we've stayed at some really amazing places and met some amazing friends. And yes, my mom she just commented, she's going on the next stop with us to Chickamauga, and we're staying at Blue Water there, which is going to be...
It's exceptionally nice.
Yeah, it's probably the nicest place that we've ever stayed due to financially, but thankfully it's going to be a good stay to have other people with us. So, watching y'all with my 13-year-old, he's going to Lake Seminole next week, Florida High School Bass Nation. That's what's up. I love that place. He's wondering if you got any tricks for up there. So, what month is this right now? June. Post-spawn, if you come out of, I think the whole south side of the lake is pretty much where I'd stay. You can go up in Spring Creek and find grass, but find that grass, find those transitions where grass is starting to drop off a little bit. If you're in the spawn, it's a whole different thing. That's all I ever fish in Seminole when we've been there is the spawn. And it's such an amazing lake. And I got paid there last year, which was a blessing. Any lake you get paid on, you get to remember. And I caught all of my fish on 2 baits, which was just a long Magnum trick worm and a fluke, the stuff that you're taught when you're 5. But I was able to weigh in some pretty good bags and finished in the top 50 there, and got to come home with some moolah, which was exciting. So tricks, tips, swim baits, chatter baits, spinner baits, and then maybe even some swim baits. You know, just keep it moving, keep it simple, and don't overthink it, and you should be pretty good there. So let's see here. Bring your own sheets, absolutely. We definitely bring our own sheets and pillows and everything else. So here we are. 1 minute. I'm going to take one more question, and then we are going to go. But thank y'all so much for an amazing night. It's been fun. It's been awesome to get to chat with all of you and get to share you a little bit of our story, my story, God's story, and what He's done in our lives, and what He will continue to do, Lord willing. So
God is good.
All the time.
All the time.
God is good. All right. We love y'all. Good night.
Good night.